Hi, and welcome back to the Thankful Nurse Podcast. In today's episode, I am excited to talk to you about perseverance. Perseverance is something that I have been struggling with lately, and I thought, why not share this topic on the podcast with you today? So let's just dive right in. One source describes perseverance as meaning to keep trying and not give up, even when things are difficult, challenging, or discouraging. That sounds like most of our shifts, right? So a couple of points added on to that definition is continuing in the face of difficulty and determination and resolve and pushing through obstacles and seeing things through to the end. So I feel like this is a very applicable topic to nursing, because if you want to be in nursing for any length of time and have a good career that sustains you and your family, you need to be able to persevere and have that quality in your life. Recently in church, I heard a sermon that really touched my heart, and the speaker was talking about an individual named Aaron Ralston. I don't know if I said his name right, but hearing about him and hearing about his story got me curious. It piqued my interest, and I did a little bit of my own search into his autobiography, and I just want to share, if you don't know who Aaron Ralston is, he is an individual who was hiking solo in Blue John Canyon, Utah, when he became trapped by a boulder inside of a canyon. And he was trapped in that canyon for 5 days before he became desperate enough to sever and amputate his own forearm so that he could live, so that he could survive. And even when he did amputate his own arm with an off-brand of a Swiss Army knife, he still had to hike and rappel down the canyon and hike so many miles to get to civilization and to get to help. And that story was so inspiring to me. And I was listening to an interview that they had with him, and he was speaking about how his story just blew up and it was huge. And when he was in the hospital, like, his family couldn't go down to the cafeteria or really go out because the press was so strong. People were interested in hearing his story. And he said that in between pain medication, before he could get a next dose, and when it was starting to wear off and he was coherent, that his dad would read letters to him that people had sent in. And one of the things he said that really touched me was there was a woman that was contemplating suicide, and she heard his story and received inspiration from it that helped her to make that decision not to end her own life. It was just very touching to me, and I thought, wow, like, sometimes we don't realize the impact that we make on other people. He may have thought, like, I made a mistake going in that canyon and not telling people where I was going to be, things that it could be looked at in a light that he was foolish, and that, now he does education about safety and things like that. But I just wanted to share that I thought it was so profound and it touched my heart that we never know what's going to inspire somebody and what's going to make a difference in somebody's life. And so when we have something that we feel we need to share, when we want to say something that we feel was given to us to help someone else, then we should, because we never know who it's going to touch. And there's 1,000 voices in your head, and maybe even real life voices that are telling you that you don't deserve to speak on something, or what you say doesn't matter, or your voice doesn't matter. But I'm here to tell you today that it does. Recently, I had a challenging shift, and I've been recording a few episodes of this podcast, and I had a challenging shift. I had a patient that was difficult for me to deal with and manipulative, and I felt super drained by this individual. And even my coworkers commented that, they'd never seen me in the state that I was, of like frustration. And at one point I even said, like, this is the reason that I want to leave healthcare. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm doing good and there's so many beautiful things about nursing, and then there's something that just, is the straw that broke the camel's back. And so I was having this particularly challenging day, and when I came home from work, I actually said, like, the thankful nurse my butt. Like, I have no business recording a thankful nurse podcast when I just went through the day that I did and experienced the emotions and frustrations that I did. I felt like I am the last person who should be trying to encourage somebody else and tell you that you can be thankful and you can find gratitude and fulfillment in your nursing career. But I started thinking about all the negative reasons of why I shouldn't do this podcast. There's a million reasons why I shouldn't do this podcast. There are plenty of other people way more qualified to talk about these things that I'm sharing with you. And then I also think, what am I saying that hasn't been said before? Because I'll do an episode and then later I'm scrolling on Instagram or something and I see somebody saying exactly what I just said. And I think, well, that it's already been said. Why should I even do this? Or what's the purpose of doing this? And then I think, well, am I really relatable? Because right now I'm working PRN and I only work part-time. I've worked full-time many years of my career. I've been a nurse for 13 years now, and I've been in different roles, and I've worked part-time bedside at the hospital and part-time doing a data abstracting from home for a genetic company. And I guess the bottom line is I have all these negative voices telling me why I shouldn't do this podcast, why there's people better than me, why I have no business speaking about these things. And then I come upon this story about Aaron Ralston and persevering and perseverance. And it just gave me some encouragement that I want to share this podcast with people because I want to show what it means to persevere, and that even when things are difficult and challenging and discouraging, that you can persevere, that you can get through this, that there are going to be brighter days, that there are seasons in life, and some seasons really are terrible, and some are very difficult, and some are beautiful and wonderful, and they feel like you're living in a dream because everything is so beautiful. And so I just want to encourage you today to persevere, to not give up. And I kind of had to go through these conversations with myself and in my conversations with God and in my conversations with a loved one in my life that is a sounding board for me, that encourages me and helps to direct me. And I thought maybe this thing that I just went through, maybe this episode is just to encourage you, somebody out there that's listening, that needs to hear this, that needs to know. I'm just being real with you. I'm not the most qualified person to be talking about gratitude and being thankful and persevering in your nursing career, but my voice does matter, and I have been given something that I feel I want to share with other people, that I want to share with you, because maybe today your day just got a little bit better. Maybe I said something that you needed to hear. Maybe I just needed to hear this myself. I needed to hear myself record this, and that's what I needed to hear, just to make my day better, just to make your day better. And so I just want to encourage you, what is something in your life that is challenging and discouraging? It doesn't even have to be nursing. It can be parenting, just for an example. There's so many other aspects to us besides nursing that this can apply to. What is something in your life that you feel like giving up on, or you feel like you can't do it? I want to tell you that you have what it takes to persevere. You have what it takes to get through the obstacles, to get through the challenges, to get through the discouragements, to get through the bad shifts that, we probably could have done a little better. But the bottom line is we showed back up the next day for work. We made it through another day. We persevered. And I just want to encourage you today to think about something in your life that you're struggling with and how you can continue to persevere. And I hope that you were blessed by this and encouraged by this. And if you're interested, check out Aaron Ralston's story. It was very intriguing to me, and I would love to have him on the podcast as a guest, but I believe his speaking fee is out of my budget. But in the meantime, I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day, and you are encouraged today, my friend. Thank you for tuning into this podcast. And please remember, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and not intended to substitute for medical advice. If you like to read, please consider checking out my book I wrote, Living Trust. It's a short story about a nurse and her husband who learn about trusting God in the midst of their difficulties. It's an emotional book filled with grief, adventure, romance, and ultimately learning to trust God. If that sounds interesting to you, please get your copy on Amazon today.